Okay, let's talk about what's going to happen next week. One, you have to, before next week, you need to finish your chapter 6 homework. But I also want you to be very prepared for what's going to happen starting Monday morning. The test is going to open, test 1, and it covers chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that'll open up on the 13th at 11:59 a.m. 1 o'clock a.m. on Monday morning. It will close at 11:59 p.m. on the 19th, Sunday night. With the test being open for a full week, there should be no reason that you don't get it completed in that time frame. So be very mindful of the time, your time, and how much time you have remaining to take the test. Unless there's some dire circumstances, nothing will be reopened after the 19th. So let's talk about the paper first. First, if you haven't gone to the policy analysis documents tab, inside that tab, you'll see the rubric, which gives all the descriptive requirements for the paper. I do expect the thesis and outline to be in MLA format, double space, standard margin, 12-point font, Times New Roman, Arial font. The documented sources, even if you have them, I don't need them for the thesis and outline, because on Tuesday during our class session, we will be discussing each of your thesis and outlines. If I look at it and believe I need additional information, or you have some data that I'm not real sure of, I will ask you for your documented sources. There's no in-text citation in the thesis and outline. But all the information you need about this process is contained in the rubric. We're going to start with the thesis and outline. There'll be week 5. We'll do a peer review in week 11. And the submission of your paper will be on the 15th week. And we'll talk about some things that you will see once you submit them for grading. There is also links to writing centers. Here are some examples of acceptable theses and outlines. Some are longer than others. 1 page is about all I need. And before somebody asks me the question, what is this on? What can we write about? I want you to think about any policy or procedure that affects your life or your potential future work endeavor. Let's say you want to be an engineer. You can talk about the increased demand for H-1 visas for engineers out of Pakistan and India by the tech firms in the United States. What happens to the value of your degree when they bring more people in with PhDs with substantially lower pay than what they would have to pay if there was a limit on those visas? There's so many things you can talk about. If you want to go to Johnson County, the mask mandate, all those are policies. And they are fair game when we start writing our papers. Once you complete your thesis and outline, I want you to submit it in the appropriate discussion forum. And right now that forum is closed, but I'm going to change that. Looks like it's closed. It opened on 9/6. Okay. So it's now available. You can post your thesis and outline at any time. Let's see who's already posted one. Oh, that was just a draft. Matthew Green, that was from last year. And he was dealing with increasing production of the vaccine. So that's an old one. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. It's now cleaned out. It's ready for your submission. So as I said before, you go into the discussion board. You'll find the thesis and outline, and you'll just submit it there. All right. After you submit it there, I then want you to go into week 5. Your thesis and online submission. Click here. And you'll see a page like this. There's nowhere for you to attach your thesis and outline. I don't want it attached here. All grades populate through MindTap. So that's the reason I want you to select I'm done, grade assignment now. And yes, grade assignment now. That's going to post an attempt in MindTap. It will show that you have received a 0, but that's okay. Once I have a chance to go through and read it and make comments on it, etc., then I will post your credit, which will be 100. You'll get 5 points to your final grade. But don't be alarmed if you see a 0 pop up as soon as you submit it. And it's the same thing for the peer review and the final paper. You will see a 0 until I have reviewed, graded, and made comments on your documents. So after you submit it to the discussion forum and through MindTap, then it's just waiting for me. Any questions about the submission of the thesis and outline? Okay. Let's talk about the test. The test is also in week 5. You will click on it again. You'll see this screen. Your test 1 is ready. It will contain 50 questions, which will be made up of multiple choice and true and false. There's no fill in the blank like you saw in homework. But it still can require you to do some math to respond to some of the questions, especially in elasticity. You have 2 attempts at the test. After each attempt, you will get immediate feedback on anything you missed in the previous attempt. Once you've gone through the feedback, added something else to your studying process to prepare you for the second attempt, you go in and attempt it a second time. There's an algorithm. There's thousands of questions that can be pulled for the 50. So the likelihood of you getting the exact same test are close to zero. So it's going to cover the same material from chapters 1 through 6, but you won't see the same questions twice, or it's very unlikely you'll see them twice. You'll have 2 hours to take the test unless I've received notice from Disability Services saying you require additional testing time. If I have received the notice, I have already extended your time. If you have received a notice saying that you qualify for extra time and you don't see extra time on there, because right now it's at 120 minutes, so 2 hours. If you see that it hasn't been extended, because most of it's time and a half, so 3 hours. If it has not been extended, you need to let me know before you even start the first attempt. Okay? Then we can hit start test now. Once you click that, the clock is ticking. There's no pause button. Either you're prepared or you're not. If you submit for a test for grading, that means your attempt is over. Now, if you accidentally hit it too early or whatever, I can go delete it. But what I would do is, if I were you, if that were to happen, I would go ahead and go to after submission, you now have the second attempt available. Let me know, and if it's before the 19th, 11:59, I will go in there and delete that first attempt if you need it. But you have to let me know. And you have to give me enough time to find it and read the email. You can see my clock's already ticking. Now I can hit save, but I would just make sure that when you start taking this test, you have already eliminated any distractions. Put your cell phone away unless you're using it for searching. It is open book, open note. So if you need those sources to help you with the test, feel free to do so. You will not find the exact answers for any of these questions in the textbook. It requires you to truly understand the concepts and theories. I would advise you, there's several places you can go to prepare. We'll go back to weekly assignments. I'm just going to go to chapter 3, week 3. Go to support materials for week 3. That's chapter 4. We've got tons of materials. Here's a video on changing equilibrium price and quantity for shifts. All of these are video walkthroughs. They're very good tools to prepare you for the test. I don't know why it's not showing it to me. I guess my blocker must be off. It's real slow. But the videos are very helpful. You've got additional videos here or work-throughs dealing with the law of demand, the law of supply, equilibrium, changes in supply. There are some video lessons dealing with the material in the chapter. use whatever you need to be successful on this test. I'd like for everybody to have 100. It's not going to happen, but I'd like for everybody to have 100. And there are people that get hundreds on these tests. And they always, the ones that perform the best are ready for the first attempt. The more time you spend for the first attempt really studying for it, the less likely you're going to be having to take it a second time. So being prepared is the big thing. I mean, you've got the videos, you got course documents, there's your exhibits for all the chapters, there's your interactives for all the chapters, your traditional PowerPoint, here's all your lecture notes. And I would download them. All of them, I mean, anything you can get to get you through this process is fair game. Well, except for going to Clegg and some of the others that you post questions and they give you answers. Well, the problem is with the algorithm that's set up and the number of questions that it can work with, it can run into trouble if you try to use those services. I wouldn't pay for them. So, but that's, I can't fix it if you do something like that. It's hard for me to catch you, but I guarantee you at the end you'll have very little knowledge of what's going on. So, there's a video walkthrough. It just took a long time to load. Now it's 6 minutes long. It don't let me fast forward, so I'm not gonna go all the way through it. When we go back to PowerPoint, we look at the test. I'm going back to the test. All you have to do is, when you select an answer, it'll show that the question's been completed. Here they give you some data that you have to compute. So you just have to fill in the numbers. There's some production possibility curves. Production at point K. Where's point K? It's right there. It's possible but inefficient. L is possible and efficient. K is inefficient because it's not using all the resources. This should be an easy minimum wage laws. Only minimum wage that firms can pay workers. It's not telling them the exact wage, it's saying you can only pay them so much. But this is what your test will look like. These are questions from the pool. So there used to be a scatter diagram showing a strong positive relationship or a scatter plot. See, there's only 50 questions, but the orders change and so will any numbers. Okay? And see, that's from chapter 1. So it can go anywhere and pick anything. This is positive opposed to normative. That's still going into chapter 1 and 2. Once you're through, submit for grading. The time clock is going.